Welcome. Today we're looking at the competitive scene, points and mission changes in chapter approved, and what we can expect entering a tournament. I'm James.
I'm Ali.
Chapter approved points.
There's quite a lot to talk about.
There is quite a lot, isn't there?
Well, for some factions there's a lot, and for some factions there's less.
Yeah. What's standing out straight away at you?
Well, what's standing out to me is my faction, Chaos.
Yeah.
My Lord of Skulls, obviously, is going up 15 points.
Yeah.
And my Dreadnoughts are going up by 20 points. So I've had to rework a list.
Yeah. So we're actually entering a tournament in a couple of weeks, aren't we?
Yeah, 3 weeks from when we're doing this.
Yeah. So we're entering Stonehammer, which is at Element Games, on the weekend of Valentine's Day.
Yeah, it's the 12th and the 13th. And I think it's 6 games over the 2 days.
Yeah. Now, I actually haven't entered a tournament before, but
Okay.
you have.
Yeah, I've been to a few. I've not been to many. I've been to one grand tournament, which is what this one.
Right.
Because there's different gradations of tournament based on size.
Yeah.
I didn't do very well. But I've done some like 1 day sort of 30 player events, which I've done quite well at. I did one of those 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I do pretty well. 2 and 1. But yeah, so
Yeah.
we've both had to change our lists a bit.
Yeah.
because-
So for you, we'll go over lists properly, I think, a little later on. But
Yeah.
you've, for a while now, played Contempt to Dreadnoughts.
Yes, yeah.
And they have, I don't think, taken a hit as bad as it could have been.
No, I think
But they have gone up, haven't they? In this?
Yeah, I think they're still playable. Basically, the Volkite arms were 5 points each, and now they're 15 points each, which is much more reasonable. I think everyone was a bit afraid. There was an image that went around online that was showing them at 35 points each,
Yeah.
which obviously would have put the whole Dreadnought up by 60 points
Yeah.
and would have made them unplayable. I think 15 points is quite good, because I think people will still play Contempt to Dreadnoughts with Volkites at that point.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lists that run 3. So
Right.
I know Death Guard run 3 quite a lot. Iron Hands have been running 3. Death Watch. I don't think 3 will be as common, but I think 1 or 2 will still be, because they're still really, really good. Like
Yeah.
the stats and profile of it doesn't change. It just goes up by 20 points. And what you could do, everyone runs the missile pods on top, which are 25 points and are still 25 points. You just take them off, and now your Dreadnought's 5 points cheaper.
To be fair, when we've played, the missiles are the key part that don't do as much.
Yeah, well, they've got the standard sort of heavy missiles or the blast anti-infantry
Right.
ones. And when they hit hard, but it's only 2 shots with the heavy ones. And if they miss, they do nothing.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, Chaos Space Marines as well. The standard Chaos Space Marine has gone down 2 points, haven't they?
yeah, because they've been 14 points each, so it's been 70 points for a unit of 5.
Yeah.
And a unit of 10 cultists is 50 points. So it's always been a bit like, well, 5 Marines, 10 cultists, they're both similar survivability. Especially, there's 1 wound per Chaos Marine at 3 up save. But now a unit of 5 Chaos Marines is 60 points, so it's only 10 points more than a unit of cultists. So it makes them slightly more appealing.
I'm quite surprised cultists haven't gone down a point again, because I just think, like, I know it's only 10 points, but they don't get any. They went up a point because they benefited from things that they don't benefit from now.
Yeah, they seem to have this sort of floor for how much, a baseline level for how much a unit can cost now.
Yeah.
And I think there's only maybe 1 model in the game that costs less than 5 points. I think it's Brimstone Horrors, I think, are like 4 points each.
Okay. How much is the standard guardsman now?
5 points.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I think guardsmen, cultists, gaunts for Tyranids, like all those toughness 3, little trash units are all 5 points a model. But, some of them are better than others. I think guardsmen were 5 points each before they added this bottom level for cost. But guardsmen get stuff like move, and all their guardsmen stratagems and abilities and that kind of thing, whereas cultists basically get nothing.
Yeah. I think that's something for me, is that I don't know if they take into account, is that when they balance the points, they just kind of look at the data sheet.
Yeah.
I don't feel that, like, for example, if you look at an intercessor versus a tactical marine, so a standard intercessor is about 20 points a model, whereas a standard tactical marine is about 18.
Yeah.
And if you look at their stats, the main difference is that a Primaris gets an extra attack, and I think that's it on the data sheet.
It is now, yeah.
But when you look into the stratagems that Primaris have access to, they are so much better than a tactical marine squad.
Yeah, well, that's the same with cultists versus like a guardsman.
Yeah.
Plus, with the sub-factions, all the units become very different as well. Like, cultists and Iron Warriors are amazing because they can block, shots coming from other units and stuff, so you can protect a unit behind a unit of cultists. Whereas in Black Legion, I don't know, another Legion, the cultists don't get stuff like that. So, but they cost the same points.
That's annoying, yeah.
So it's like, I think the difficulty is in balancing cultists or any unit when they can be in different things.
Another change for Chaos that I like the look of was that Obliterators have gone down 10 points.
Yeah.
So if you take a squad of 3, that's 30 points less. And I think there's a shout to take in quite a lot of Obliterators. So if you look at 2 squads of 3, you've dropped 60 points. And I think you said before this that that would be essentially now a 5-man Chaos Space Marine squad.
Yeah, I mean, if you're running 6 Obliterators, you could still run 6 Obliterators, and now you get a free unit of Chaos Space Marines.
Which is crazy good, I think, really.
Well, because I think Obliterators are good. Like I used to have 3 of them before I started running Dreadnoughts and stuff. I was running Obliterators. And I think, saving 30 points on a unit of 3, that's, I don't know, a few more models in another unit. Or
what I like about Obliterators is their output. The issue I have with them is that I know that 4 wounds is not bad, but I feel like it's quite easy to kill 4 wound models nowadays.
Yeah.
There's a lot of damage to weapons. So.
Yeah, everything's much more killy than it used to be. It's like Necrons at the start of 9th edition when they had their book were really hard to kill. But then everyone else has gotten a book that's made all their stuff kill things more easily.
Yeah.
So it's like, now it's easy to do stuff like that. So it was like, at the start of 9th edition, it was difficult to kill things, so Obliterators were really good.
Yeah.
Now it's harder to kill things. Oh, sorry, now it's easier to kill things. I don't know. I still think they're good. The fact that you can protect them for a turn and then drop them in on turn 2 and just delete something is good. The fact that you roll their damage and stats and stuff before you pick a target is nice.
Right.
So if you end up rolling like damage, strength 7, AP 1 damage, you just point at a unit of infantry. And if you wanted to run 9, which is the most you could bring as well, you're saving 90 points, which is basically a free Obliterator.
Oh, yeah?
Which is cool.
That's cool, yeah. So, key changes to Space Marines. The Primaris speeders have gone down.
Yeah.
And the tanks, the Gladiator tanks for Primaris have gone down.
Yeah.
The Redemptor went up, and the Dreadnought you mentioned, the Relic Dreadnought has gone up a little bit. But... and the Chaplain on Bike's gone up
as well, yeah. Well, because pretty much every Space Marine list I've seen, except for one, James, has a Chaplain on a bike. So I think with units that are so must take, that like with units that everybody takes, I think the fact that one of the reasons everyone's taking them is that they are so effective at their points. So I think it's not a bad thing to put them up a bit.
Yeah.
So 10 points isn't gonna break it.
No.
Especially with stuff like in Blood Angels, like your Death Company come down. So Death Company coming down by 2 points, you're saving 10 points on the units. You can still bring both and it's not gonna change anything.
I mean, do you think the speeders and the gladiators will see more play?
Maybe. I don't know that their issue though is the points of them. Like, I think obviously anything being cheaper helps, but I think their issue is mostly just in survivability and like their output seems okay, but
so the Redemptor went up a little bit, and I was quite happy to see that because I think before you look at 185 point Redemptor versus a nearly 250 point Gladiator, and I forget the variant, but the one that kills everything with the melter it's got.
Yeah.
There's quite a, was it 70 points between the two, and
Something like that,
the
yeah.
Gladiator just didn't survive, whereas the Redemptor did
Yeah.
because of that -1 Duty Eternal. So I'm glad to see them be a little closer now, and I think the cheapest Gladiator is cheaper than a Redemptor
Are
potentially.
the Gladiators core? Because I think that's where Dreadnoughts really shine above them.
No, they're not, because they're a vehicle, and it's only the Dreadnoughts that kept core.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll lose that. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, it's hard to say.
it's nice to see the Redemptor doing well, because in 8th edition when it first came out, it was good, but it was a bit weird.
Yeah.
It didn't really smash things like it does now.
No.
And it's a cool model.
It is a cool model. I like all the Dreadnoughts. But, like, I think for a while, the sort of quote best way to run Space Marines was to just run loads of Dreadnoughts.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that Dreadnoughts are going up in points might mean that that's still the best way to run them, but you're not going to be able to run as many. And there might be other things, like maybe it is Gladiators, that become what you choose instead.
Yeah.
You know, because they're more points efficient or whatever.
Necrons went down.
Yeah.
Quite a lot, actually,
So many
on some of
Necrons
their
went
Lord
down.
of Wars.
Yeah. I think, was it Immortals went down as well? Like, loads of stuff went down. So I think with the fact that in the balanced data slate from a few months ago, making so many more things core, and now so many more of their units being cheaper, I think Necrons might sort of have a bit of a resurgence, possibly. Like, they're not bad. Like, stuff like the Catan and stuff are pretty good. But I think that one of their issues has just been that it's like I said before when we were talking about stuff being much more killy now.
Yeah. I mean, the Tesseract Vault at 500 points before was just, you would never take
No,
that.
never.
I still think it's a bit overpriced at 450, but I mean, you could play it.
Yeah.
I think monoliths will benefit from going down. I still think they're a little expensive.
Yeah, I'm not. The other thing with units like that is I'm not 100% sure what they do, because I've never seen anybody use one.
Yeah.
But
I think
50 points.
Scott's got 2 sitting under his bed.
Yeah. I think any unit coming down in 50 points, though, is a huge. Like, that's 10% of the unit.
Yeah.
You know.
But I've got to say, like, for them on this, looking at it, I mean, most of their units have had maybe 5-10 points dropped.
Yeah.
Death Guard have gone up quite a bit.
Yeah.
The Terminator's gone up 5 points. The Death Shrouds, the normal Blight Lords have gone up 2.
Yeah.
Grey Knights have gone up a bit as well.
Grey Knights needed it. Death Guard didn't need it, I don't think. I think that's unfair on the Death Guard.
Yeah, I think... Oh, yeah, their Plague Warrior crawlers have gone down, strangely.
Yeah. Well, that's like one of their best units, so I guess that's the silver lining to their points changes.
Yeah. What else? So the standard sort of... I mean, they're in the Codex now, but the old school non-Codex Space Marines like Dark Angels, Space Wolves, and Blood Angels have all had drops on their kind of unique units, like the Thunderwolf Cavalry, the Black Knights, and the Dark Angel Flyers. And then my list has actually gone down quite a bit because Death Company have gone down and Mephiston's gone down, which is nice to see. Because I always thought Mephiston looks cool, but is so expensive for what he does.
Yeah. Well, he's like a librarian that's really good at fighting.
Yeah.
So I think the way they were pointing him before was however much a librarian costs mixed in with however much a really fighty character costs.
Yeah.
You know? So they had his points set way too high.
I mean, now...
There's 15 points off of him?
Yeah, he's 140 points now.
Yeah, that's a bargain.
So he's 10 points more than a jump pack captain with a Thunderhammer.
Yeah.
And I mean, his rules, essentially, he's kind of got a Thunderhammer, really. It just doesn't do flat 3 damage.
Yeah.
Does D3. And I mean, his psychic powers, he moves 7, he's strength 5, toughness 5. And then he's got the psychic power that allows him to kind of jump around.
Yeah.
So I think he's got a good buff there.
Yeah, I think so. Like 15 points again, that's huge. That's again about 10% off the unit.
Yeah. But yeah, I think looking at it, is there any... Oh, Orcs.
Oh, Orcs got loads of changes in it, yeah.
A lot of drops, and then there's stuff that's really good. Like, the Beast Snugger stuff's gone up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm kind of glad to see the beast boss go up because before there was no reason you would ever take Mozrog over a standard beast boss.
No.
When you look at Mozrog's datasheet, it's insane. Mm-hmm. But you look at the beast boss and how much cheaper he is, and you can give him a couple of relics that just make him insane.
Yeah.
It's just standard. Whereas now there's about 10 points between them, which kind of makes sense because Mozrog's got a couple of extra abilities, but he's pretty much the same character.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those where it's like, again, they've taken a unit that they were probably worried would be too strong, because obviously their book only came out probably like 6 months ago now.
Yeah.
And when the book got printed, they were probably a bit like, oh, we've made this really strong character, we'll make sure his points are nice and high, so and then everyone went, oh wait, but why would we spend that when we could spend this? It's the same kit, we're not buying a different thing. So yeah, I mean, people might start to run him now, perhaps, like just comparing his points to the vanilla beast boss.
Quite happy to see that Megatrack scrap jets have gone up.
Yes, yeah. Like the buggies are way too cheap. The squig buggy's gone up as well, didn't it?
I'm so happy Ben's next time he plays me, he's got to shell 30 points of boys away to play his free.
I think I'm going to play him tomorrow, so I might make him use the new points.
Ooh, well, that would be cheeky. Rookatuk squig buggies went up 20.
Yeah, I mean
they are too good.
They're way too good. Like, anything that ignores line of sight is really good.
And I think like that change, 20 points. I don't think it ruins them. I still expect to see at least one in a list.
It's the same as with the Volkite Contemptors. I think people will still be running them because they're so good. Like the points of them don't really matter.
All the Battle Wagon variants have gone down 15.
Yeah. Which, again, it's a unit people don't really run because they could run buggies or...
And I mean, the kill rig's gone up 20, so that kind of makes me go, taking one of them and a battle wagon makes a bit more sense now, rather than just two of the kill rigs.
Tyrannid's got some changes.
Yes.
Probably talk about that. Hive Guard have gone up.
Yeah.
Because
they needed that.
Yeah, I think they were 45 points a model before.
Yeah.
Might have even been 40, and they're going up by 5 points each.
Yeah.
Which means the lists that are running 18 of them, that's another, 18 times 5. That's nearly 100 points that list's gone up by now.
And then there's 3 other units that have dropped points, but I don't have a clue what they are.
I can't remember either. I know the Dimachairon went up as well, which is like one of the Forge build options that people were running a lot.
Exocrine or something.
That's it. The Harry Specs has come down. I remember that. Yeah, which is cool because that's one of my favorite Tyrannid models. But
I can't even pronounce the names of the Tyrannid models, man.
Yeah, I can't remember if the Exocrine came down as well though.
Yeah,
but, I think that's another unit that's been a bit overshined by Hive Guard. So.
Okay. Yeah, I think looking at that, that's pretty much everything. Mm-hmm. Okay, just quickly before we move on, is there any model that you think has had a massive win out of these points changes?
Massive win. I don't know that there is. Do
you think there's anything that's been nerfed so bad that you would just never see it again that was being played quite a bit?
Again, not really. I think that overall, I think it's a really good set of changes. Like, I think rather than any unit now becoming wildly more popular or anything becoming wildly less popular, I think everything will be just a bit more of an even playing field.
Yeah.
It's interesting that Drakari didn't get any points changes.
Yeah.
But they've said, I think in February, they're doing another balanced data slate.
Yes, and this is for 6 months now rather than the usual year.
Yeah.
Which I quite like because the game in 6 months is very different.
Yeah, well, in 6 months' time, Tau will have a new book. Presumably Eldar and Chaos Marines will have the new books.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at it. I kind of think that because Tau, Chaos Space Marines have had points changes, but I mean, Eldar, I think the only thing they had was that the flyers have come down a little bit.
I think it was only one of the flyers.
Yeah, the one I run,
Yeah.
So looking at it, I kind of get the vibe that Tau could be anywhere in the next 4 weeks from now. It could be the end of Jan or early February.
I think a lot of their units have changed in points in this, and I think that is going to be the points from the new book.
Right.
So I think the Tau points changes are based on the new profiles of the units versus not what they are now. I reckon, I mean, if this goes out next week, I think the Tau Codex might already be on pre-order by the time
Yeah.
it is. I think it's going to go on pre-order next weekend.
So Eldar and Chaos are obviously two codexes that we know that are coming this year.
Yeah.
I get the feeling that Eldar is going to be some way into March, maybe at the latest April.
Yeah.
But looking at this, I think even though it was only 4 models for Chaos Space Marines, the fact that the actual Chaos Space Marine model itself went down 2 points, I feel they're not coming out till summer.
Yeah,
even though the
possibly.
box is expected at the end of February, I think it'll be quite a while for their codex. I think it would be similar to how they released Black Templars and Orcs. They released the box they did for them
Yeah.
with the codex in, and then they released it about a month later. I think the fact that this is a split box, and Eldar are obviously getting their codex first, I just think that Chaos won't get their stuff until...
Well, I've got this sort of
Quite a bit.
feeling that Chaos might get one of those battle boxes like they did for Orcs and Black Templars and the
That'd be
Sisters
cool.
one. Well, there was
What models do you think they'd have in it? Do you think there'd be some new stuff like Possessed or something?
yeah, so there was about a year or so ago, there was that huge leak of things that are all coming out. And
Right.
that was saying there's going to be a bunch of new cultist units and Possessed,
Yeah.
and I think it was like Possessed humans and stuff. So I think they could possibly do a battle box sort of themed around
Yeah.
the mortal side of Chaos Marines. So cultists, possessed humans, you throw some Possessed in there as well. They did, obviously, with Shadow Spear and stuff, they had the demonic ritualists or whatever that they had.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
This could be another variant on Chaos Marines as an army. So that'd be cool. I mean, it's sort of wishful thinking, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well, it's supposed to be the Year of Chaos.
It is supposed to be the Year of Chaos, yeah. There's obviously a new Chaos Knight coming out. We saw in the the model preview they did.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing else that could be with the chimneys on the back. So hopefully good things ahead for Chaos. We'll see.
Moving on, there's been changes to the way that we play missions now.
Yes, yeah.
Not drastic, I don't think, but it is quite different to
yeah.
what we've been used to the last 2 years.
Yeah, well, they've changed how primaries work quite
Yes.
drastically.
So go on, explain that to me.
Okay, so obviously at the moment in 2021, primary is 5 points, then 5 points, then 5 points, depending on how many objectives you hold. Now it's going to be 4 points, then 8 points, then 12 points. So you can only score 12 points for the objectives that you hold
Yeah.
per turn. But then the mission secondaries are all gone and are now part of the primary.
Yes.
So like you can score 3 points per turn for doing a special thing per mission that
Yeah.
changes with every mission. For example, I think it was the Sundering they previewed on Warhammer Community. The one for
Yes.
that is obviously you score your 12 points a turn for the objectives. But then at the end of the battle, you score 3 points for each objective marker you scan. And there's 5 objective markers. So if you scan all 5, you'd score 15 points, which
Right.
would round your primary back up to the 45 points.
Yeah, which is quite cool because a lot of the missions in 2021, the added secondary that you could take in those missions, there was only maybe 1 or 2 missions where it was like, oh, you definitely should take this.
Yeah, and
Most of the time they were quite rubbish.
Yeah, there was some you'd just never take because
Yeah.
they were too difficult to do, or they were one of the secondaries you could pick from the book was just easier.
And I like now in primary, it's not all about, you've got to hold that objective for a whole turn.
Yeah,
You've got the option to go, well, I can score 3 points there just by doing that action on the ones that are previewed. And secondaries, they've just changed the wording of quite a few of them,
yeah,
and they look a lot stronger. And the thing I do like as well now is previously you could kind of pick and choose what you wanted to take, whereas now you have to take 2 from the core rule book, which is obviously the new chapter approved
yeah,
book, and then you can take 1 from either one of your codexes or one of your supplements. You
Yeah.
couldn't go, right, I'm going to take a Blood Angel supplement secondary and I'm going to take a Space Marines codex secondary.
yeah. I think Dark Angels were the ones that were doing that a lot because they were taking Oath of Moment, and there's a Dark Angels one that I think is quite similar but is in a different category.
Yeah.
So they could sort of double dip and easily score secondary points. Now, like you say, they have to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
And get something from the book.
And there's a White Dwarf with the new mission cards for secondaries
So
for each army that doesn't currently have one.
Yeah, I think they're going to be in the chapter approved book as well.
That's cool.
I think. So yeah, every army that doesn't currently have a codex.
There was a cool one for Chaos Space Marines, isn't there?
Yeah, I quite like the Chaos Space Marines one. You get a point for killing an enemy unit that's on an objective, and you get 2 more points for taking an objective that your opponent was holding. So if you charged a unit of Berserkers in, killed the unit that was on there, you'd score the point for killing them, and then 2 more for taking the objective.
Would you take that for your Wield Eaters, do you reckon?
Probably. Like, if I was playing against an army that I will reliably be able to kill units against, like, potentially, yeah.
That would work quite well for Black Legion as well, because Black Legion have got a really cool stratagem where if they go onto an objective, they can essentially turn their opponent's objective secured off.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they'd score 2 points for just doing that.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It also, you don't have to do the kill them and take them. You could just kill 3 enemy units that are on an objective marker and score 3 points for the turn that way.
That's cool.
So like if you've got good shooting or something and your opponent's got, I don't know, a little castle of units on an objective, and you can kill them all off, you get your points that way.
That's cool.
Some of them aren't very good. The Tyranid one is terrible.
What's the Tyranid one?
The Tyranid one is a bit like No Prisoners, where you keep a tally of kill points, but it's only Synapse creatures that you keep the tally for, and I can't find it now. You only score any points if you kill a model with 4 wounds or higher. Right. So if you're playing against, I don't know, like a Space Marine army that's just all 2 wound infantry models, you can't score any points.
Yeah.
Secondary. But if you play against Custodes, where they're all like 4 wounds a model, you score a point for every Custodes you kill.
Okay.
But you reset the tally to 0 at the start of each battle round. So yeah, so you have to kill a model with between 3 and 5 wounds to get 1 point, kill point. And then you score 3 points if you've got 4 kill points at the end of the battle. I don't know. It's really weird and specific and niche, and I can't think of a situation where it would be good.
Okay.
Because there's Hive Tyrants and the Swarm Lord that will kill stuff really easily, but most of your killing powers from like Hive Guard, which are not Synapse creatures.
Right.
So, I don't know. It's nice that they've got one, but it's not a very good one, I don't think.
I quite like some of the changes in the main rulebook to the standard ones, like No Prisoners. That's changed, hasn't it? Where
yeah. So yeah, because before you just tallied up how many wounds you'd killed and divided it by 10, and that was your points.
Whereas now, if you kill 50, then you get a +1.
Yep.
And if you kill over 100, you get a +2.
Yeah. So
does that stack though? Do you think?
That's a good point. Hang on.
So would you get? So if you kill 100,
no, it doesn't stack. Sorry,
right.
It
so
says
it's just giving you an additional 1.
Yeah, it says in addition, if your kill points tallies between 50 and 99, you score up 1 extra point.
Right.
And if it's 100 or more, you score 2 additional points. But if you
good, though.
Kill 100 wounds,
that's 10 points, and then suddenly it's 12.
And it becomes 12. Yeah.
It's a lot easier to max it out because I mean the most I've ever got on No Prisoners is probably 10.
Yeah. Well, now if you kill 130 wounds, you max it out. You max out 130 instead of 150.
And I kind of think the secondaries, if there's a secondary where it's achievable to get 12 points, I think it's one you would be worth taking.
Yeah, well, people take Rod.
Yes.
But you can only score 12 points if you do everything you can possibly do.
But it's quite achievable.
Yeah.
It just kind of works.
Like, it's reliable. If you can reliably score 12 points, it's a good secondary.
And I think a few of the secondaries have all kind of had that tweaking like No Prisoners to let you achieve that.
But at the same time, they've made some of the ones that were too easy to score a little bit more difficult to score.
Yeah.
So, like, Retrieve Octarius data is gone. It's Retrieve Nachtman data now because they've moved the...
It's Retrieve Notman data.
Yeah. I might start... If I take it, I might start calling it that. But now, because before with, like, Rod, you could Deep Strike a Lictor, which costs 35 points, into your opponent's table quarter and Rod there. And even if the Lictor does nothing else all game, it scored you victory points. Now, you can't do that with a 1-model unit anymore.
Ah, okay.
So now you actually have to do something when you Rod. You can't just say, I'm Rodding. You have to roll a d6. Subtracting 1 if it's the troops unit that's doing it. So if it's like a unit of intercessors, you subtract 1 from what you roll. But your roll has to be less than or equal to the number of models that are in the unit. So a Lictor is obviously only 1 model. So you'd have to roll a 1 to complete the objective or complete the action with the Lictor. which is so unreliable that you'd never try and do it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got a 10-man unit of cultists, well,
Right.
they can't fail the roll.
Okay.
Because there's more than 7 of them, because it's troops choice. But it means that it's not just such an easy, free point. You know, if you've got a unit in your 2 table quarters from where you've deployed, you do a 1 on 1 turn, 1 on the next turn, you've already scored 3 points. Now there's actually a bit of a requirement to do it. It's not just a freebie that you're given. And the other one that was very similar to Rod, in that it was in each table quarter, is engage on all fronts, which they've changed as well.
How have they changed that?
So again, you can't just like deep strike a 1 model unit and be scoring engage points for it. You have to have 3 models in a unit, or be a vehicle or a monster. So it's no longer, oh, my 1 jump pack character is going to jet off over there, and I'm in your table quarter. Now it's, you know, my unit of intercessors is in your table quarter, so I'm scoring it. So it also means that later on in the game, if your opponent's killed your unit down to like 2 models, they can't do it anymore. I'm a little bit sad because my Dark Disciples can't do it anymore. The 2 little guys who come free with the, that come with the Dark Apostle.
They don't take a...
Yeah, they're a 2 model unit that used to be able to rod or engage, and I'd often leave them behind from the Dark Apostle later on in the game so they could go and do one of those things somewhere. Well, now I'm not going to be able to do that because they don't count anymore.
Boo-hoo.
Yeah, I know. Well, my Chaos Spawn as well don't engage.
Oh.
Because they're only 1 models.
Do you think you'll drop them in your list?
I don't think so, because the way I've been using them is to just sit on an objective.
Yeah, they do that well.
Yeah, so like what I was doing was having cultists raise a banner and then go away. No, the cultists raise the banner and go away, but the spawn stays behind, so the objective's being held still.
Soup's changed as well. So before, you could kind of mix and match detachments and have, like, say, a patrol of Blood Angels and then a patrol of Grey Knights quite easily, whereas now you can't.
Yeah, they say they want to simplify how lists work.
And I like this.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I can understand a little bit of hate in some of the Xenos armies, where that kind of made the Xenos army work quite well.
Yeah.
Well,
they basically, the idea is to stop you just like mixing and matching and picking just the best faction trait for your best unit. So you put all your shooting units in like a High Fleet Kronos detachment and all your melee units in like a High Fleet Kraken detachment. That's how I used to run my Tyranids. Now you have to put them all into one.
Does this completely affect Chaos Demons with Chaos Space Marines?
I don't think so. I think the exceptions to this is Mark of Chaos stuff. So I think you're fine to still mix and match Marks of Chaos. And I think that...
it says here that there are a handful of exemptions. As you'd expect, named characters have a pre-selected keyword, but are exempt from the restriction, while Mark of Chaos and Allegiance keywords can also be different. So Bellacor's unaligned demon armies are still viable.
Yeah. So, and the named characters one they're mentioning there is for like Gazgul, who's got the Goths keyword, but can be taken in Evil Sons.
Yes.
Now he can't be taken in Evil Sons and also have a detachment of Goths. You know, you have to...
There's the Tau character that does that as well. Is it Shadow Sun?
I think Shadow Sun's got that as well, yeah. The Silent King's got it. Like, they want all the Catan shards as well, I think. Like, all the characters that have their faction keyword on the datasheet, but have a rule that lets them go in any faction.
That's cool.
They're still fine.
And the article that I've got up here, actually, so it goes on about something that when I saw it, I was like, oh, what? But obviously you pointed out to me that I was actually a part of 2021, but obviously the person writing the article, like myself, hadn't read that part. But obviously in 2021 they introduced it super heavies. If it's part of the same faction, it drops 2 points of its cost, which is really good actually, and something that I didn't realise, which is a little annoying because Wraith Knights would mean they're only 1 point rather than 3.
Yeah. I suppose the difference now is that they would have to be the same sub-faction as your Warlord, because you can't mix sub-factions.
It's a cool rule though. I think, you know, like...
It definitely makes things much more streamlined, because...
I wish I'd known about it sooner. That's their fault for being negligent.
Yeah. Well, it's why I started running the Lord of Skulls, because spending 3 command points to bring in was a bit steep. But spending 1, It's
Yeah,
the
it's
same
nothing.
as like the Contemptor Dreadnoughts cost a command point to bring.
Spending 1 point for a monolith in a Necron army
Yeah,
is so
it's-
good now.
yeah.
Like, oh, what it has been so good. I always thought they were 3 points for it. It's like, why would you do that?
Yeah. Well, the other thing with it as well is it costs 6 command points to bring the detachment that's got 3 Titanic Lords of War in it, and before it cost 6 command points to bring 2 Lords of War. So it was costing the same command points to bring 2
Yeah.
or 3. Now it only costs 4 to bring 2 and 6 to bring 3. So it's,
It's better.
yeah.
Great. Okay, moving on.
Mhm.
Why do people go to tournaments?
Well, there's a few reasons that someone might go to a tournament. I like to go because, although I play a not very competitive army, I enjoy the challenge of it. I think the main reasons people might go is to try and score points for the ITC to just get up there in the rankings.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun seeing your name appear on a list of people, and you can know that I'm better than this person because I've scored more points than them.
So after this tournament, you're going to be like, oh, I'm better than James.
Well, possibly. I
Now
mean,
I've
who
got it
knows?
in writing.
Yeah, exactly. Like the way the ITC works is you score points for going to events.
Yeah.
And you score points for doing better at events. So if you win the event, you'll score more points than if you lose the event, for
Right.
example. And if it's a bigger event, you score more points again.
Yeah.
So if it's like a little one-day event that you win, you might not score very many points because it's a small event. You'll score some, and it's still worth doing. But if you go to like the Las Vegas Open, which is coming up, and win that, you'll score a huge chunk of points because it's a
Yeah.
massive event.
Okay.
And you've won it. You score loads. So I think one of the reasons people go is because they like to watch their little number go up.
Yeah.
And the ITC breaks it down overall, so like every player, but then also does it by faction, and then again even by sub-faction. So like last year, I only went to 1 GT, and I didn't do very well, but I ended up being the 70th ranked World Eaters player in the world, which is pretty cool. There's not very many people playing them, and I didn't do very well, so I could have been a lot higher if I'd done better, but it's pretty cool to sort of see where you rank against other people.
Yeah.
Other reason people go is it's like a fun way to spend a weekend.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, well, it's you and I think our event's going to be 80 players. It might only be 60.
Yeah,
but-
and we're doing it at Element Games, which is our local gaming place, and quite a lot of people I know are going, so that was part of...
yeah,
And the only things I've done before that are similar to a 2-day event are just kind of like league campaigns, which I've normally done at Element. So a lot of the people that normally do that are going.
going as well, yeah.
So it kind of makes sense. I was kind of like... It also, I think for me, one thing that attracted me to it was I've been painting Blood Angels now since last summer. And I thought, well, that is an excuse to actually get my list finished. Because at the moment, I'd got half of it done. And I've just got about 15 models I need to finish up. And I've already kind of smashed through quite a lot of it this week.
Yeah, I paint a lot more when I've got a deadline.
Yes, I agree.
So, like, if I know that I've got an event in 3 weeks, I'm going to sit and paint something every day for the next 3 weeks. And
Yeah.
then stay up very late the night before getting everything
Finished.
done, yeah.
Yeah.
The last event I went to, the rule is the army has to be battle ready. And obviously some people are not very good painters, so the rule's fairly...
And this is where the contrast
Relaxed.
paint system, I think, was ingenious. Because
Yeah.
for people that just want to go to a tournament, they don't want to sit spending hours. You can get free colours
Yeah.
that are washes, essentially. Spray your model, put these on, and then you're ready to go.
Yeah, and it's not going to, like, win best painted, but...
You're going to be able to enter and
Yeah,
be fine with it.
and you get your 10 points for playing the game.
Yeah.
Because your army's got colours on it. So the way I always try and do it is get my entire army at least 75% done, and then I can just pick out details and stuff as I go. So that's where my army's at now. So now I've got 3 weeks to just spend painting details. But yeah, they're fun places to go because unless you're like trying to win and be the best player there, which with my list and my army is not an option.
Yeah.
I'll just get to go have some beers, have, a chill day with people, meet people who've got something in common with me because everybody going there obviously likes Warhammer.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
So if you were going for the first time, which I am,
Mm-hmm.
what essential, obviously, don't comment. Oh, your army.
Yeah.
But
Well, I've known people who've forgotten models. before.
Really?
Yeah.
What do they do?
They borrowed Mortarion from the display cabinet at Element.
God, really?
Yeah, because they left him at home.
They should be told to
Yeah, they should
Just
be.
playing without, like, you can't.
I mean,
use it.
that's what the
500
official
points
is,
down?
but you know,
Anyway, so what items
Mm-hmm.
should I take along with my army?
well, obviously all your dice and tape measures and all the stuff that you just need to play the game.
Should you take a dice tray? Do you think?
Yeah, you can do. Like, it's one of those settings where your opponent might be less forgiving than somebody if you roll a dice into their model.
Yeah,
Then, like, you know, if just two mates are playing and one of your dice hits their model, it's not a big deal. But you
it is when you play me.
Well, yeah, but you might not know the person you're playing against in a tournament, and they might be really like finicky about stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it doesn't. Honestly, it doesn't bother me too much, but
No,
there
it
are
doesn't.
times when I've played a game and I've spent ages painting a model,
Yeah.
and then even like your best mate, they've just plonked. Like it looks like they've actually
Throwing
thrown
the
it,
dice at it, yeah.
and it goes straight into the model, and the model goes over, and you're just
Yeah.
like, I spent so many hours on
Yeah.
that, and I can kind of get that.
But like, yeah, it's
But
like
I think
you-
having enough dice is probably a key thing as well. It'll make
Yeah.
your game go a bit quicker, probably.
well, that's a big thing with tournaments is you have a limited amount of time to play your game.
Yeah, you have up to 3 hours, don't you?
It's between 2.5 and 3 hours
Right.
depending on the event. So what I would say is
Which I like, actually, because, I mean, some games are 40k. If they get into 4 hours, it's just
Yeah,
painful.
I'd say bring anything you can bring that will help speed the game up.
Yeah, one thing I'm definitely going to buy that I keep saying to myself when I go food shopping, you need to buy, James. It's just a standard tray.
Yeah.
Just a simple,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, like a tea tray.
Yeah,
Because you can put all your models on there and then move to the next table.
yeah. What I like to do to speed up the time between rounds is as my models die, I put them back with their unit on the tray.
Yeah.
So that when I get to the next table, I can just, you know, this is a unit of 5, this is unit of 5, this is unit of 5, rather than just removing the model and just putting it next to the table.
Do you take a printout sheet of your list?
Yeah, normally. I've never actually had to show it to anybody because it's all
Okay.
digital now.
Yeah.
We all this.
Do your opponents ask to see them? Or?
They can do. I always take one in case they do ask, but
Because
nobody's
I guess
ever asked.
before you play, you're going to go, look, this is taking a warlord trait, this is taking a relic, this is another CP taking a relic.
Yeah, as I'm like talking to my opponent before the game, that's the type of thing I'll talk through with them. Plus, everybody can see everybody's lists usually on BCP, which is the app that is used at
Yeah.
most events. So normally a week or so before the event, everybody has to submit their army list.
Right.
And then it's checked by the app itself has
Yeah.
like a system of making sure the army list is properly written or whatever. So you can normally, before you get to the table with your opponent, read through their army list. So you can know what their units are and you get an idea of what you
Yeah.
need to deal with and that kind of thing. So it's all digital, but I take a printout just in case maybe the opponent doesn't have a phone, you know, whatever.
All of the missions are pre-planned as well, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Which I think is quite nice. You get to see that before the first day, don't you?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure what's going on with ours now because obviously it was announced and set up before the new
Yeah.
chapter approved. So I don't know if they're. I would assume they're using the new one. They've said they're using the new
Yeah,
points.
I mean, Will that's running it, he did say, like with lists as well, that once they're hoping chapter approved and potentially the Talbot would be out before the tournament.
Yeah, actually, that's right. They said anything that comes out before the 5th of February, I think, will
Yeah,
be
as in,
in. So I guess we are using the new missions. But yeah, they normally will have predetermined missions and then also predetermined terrain layouts.
Right.
So normally for round 1, they turn up the day before and set the terrain up the night before so that when you arrive in the morning, it's all ready to go for round 1.
And that's actually a big thing in tournaments is the terrain. And I playing this last year, I think after you introduced us, like, look, you should play these GT terrain layouts every time. It makes the game so much better.
Yeah, and I know that
Because-
our event's using those terrain maps.
Yeah, they're
And-
they make the board very even. It's kind of like a mirror image of each other, which I guess kind of takes away from, is this realistic? But at the same time, it feels more like playing a game and that there's no advantage for terrain. You know, you could get those big pieces sometimes that
Yeah.
were on your opponent's side and you only had a few little things, just the way that deployment had kind of taken the roll off back in the day for deployment types. And,
Yeah.
I think now the way the terrain works with the mission types is just really sound, really good.
Yeah, so they're usually designed around a mission. So, say you know mission 1.
Yeah,
This terrain works with this because the objectives are here and here and here. So we'll have a piece of line of sight blocking terrain to hide behind, but there'll be a firing lane if your opponent was to move around here. So it encourages more tactical maneuvering and that kind of thing to be able to draw lines of sights to different areas of the board where your opponent's going to be, that kind of thing.
yeah,
So I think, so normally what they'll do is they'll set up the terrain for game 1 the night before. So you arrive and it's all ready to go. But then moving between each round, the players themselves have to reset up the terrain so that the map will be there on the mission pack. And then when you get to your table, you have to just spend a few minutes with your opponent, just reconfiguring it all to the new map. Another reason why something like a trade to get to the new table as quick as possible is good.
So, lists that we're taking.
Mm-hmm.
What about yourself?
So,
Do you want to just run over your kind of core list and some of the changes that
yeah,
you might see now that the point system's out?
So a couple of things that I've changed is that I'm running 6-man Berserker squads instead of 5 because of the new version of Rod having that dice roll requirement. I feel like with a 5-man unit, there's only a 50-50 chance of completing it. With a 6-man unit, it's basically a 5 or a 6 and you fail it. I don't know that I'll take that much anymore though. But I'm taking, it's actually 3 6-man units and 1 5-man unit because of transport reasons. Because I'm taking 2 of the Terex assault drills,
Right.
which have a capacity of 12.
Yeah.
So there'll be 1 with 2 6-mans and then 1 with a 6 and a 5 and Khan
Right.
the Betrayer. Because Khan can get out after they deep strike.
I like that you're taking Khan because a couple of weeks ago you're like, I'm not taking Khan.
Yeah, I thought
And,
with...
I think it's right to take him. I think he's not gonna be the beat stick character that he probably should be.
No.
But he's still so good.
Yeah, well, I was running Khan in all of my lists because he gives the Dreadnoughts rerolls to hit. And now he can give the drills rerolls to hit. And the drills have Volkite weapons.
Right.
And the drills have melter guns.
Yeah, 5.
5 melter guns each. So Khan can hop out between these 2 drills. And I've got 10 melter shots with rerolls and 20 Volkite shots.
How
with
many
rerolls.
points is one drill?
190 with the Volkite.
That's really good.
Yeah.
They are. I played you once with them a week or 2 ago, and yeah,
They're like
really
100
good.
points more than a Rhino, but they're toughness 8 with more wounds, the ability to deep strike, and like a lot of damage output.
Yeah.
So it's like rather than Rhinos, which is 80 pretty dead points in the list because all they're there to do is get the Berserkers in.
Yeah. Because I mean, we had the thing about it now. We did have a game, didn't we? And we both talked about. We both like, yeah. I think seeing the points changes is what will make it change the list. But that was the first time you played the drills, and I'm used to you playing the 2 dreadnoughts, and I struggled a lot more. I mean, you won that game, and I think the previous 2 games, I won, but the drills, I guess maybe because I'm a close combat army as well, but they just really messed with me.
Well, they're toughness 8, which is like
Yeah.
better than because the Rhino's toughness 7. I think Rhino's toughness 7 and 10 wounds, and the drill is toughness 8 and 14 wounds. And they can hide off the board for a turn and not get shot by anything, and they're just so much more survivable. In fact, with To the Last, which I think I took in that game against you, the drills and my Lord of Skulls are my 3 units.
Yeah.
And I think the drills are pretty reliable to keep alive because opponents don't really want to dedicate killing power to your transports, especially when there's like 20 berserkers running around.
So your list is Khan, Dark Apostle.
Yep.
With the 2
disciples, yeah. I
you
think
got any more? Are you taking the Smash Captain?
Yeah. My Lord's still in. He's got a lightning claw now as well.
Ooh.
Yeah, I figured 5 points spare. I'd
yeah.
upgrade the chainsword.
Are you taking cultists?
I'm taking 2 units of 11 cultists.
Right, okay.
Just because of points.
And then you've got spawns
2 spawns, yeah.
and the Lord of Skulls.
Lord of Skulls, and 5 Red Butcher Terminators.
Oh yes, with the lightning claws and combi bolters.
Yeah,
very
1
strong
lightning claw,
unit.
1 combi bolter.
Very strong. Is that everything?
That is everything.
Yeah. And do the points changes make you consider putting a dreadnought back in?
So I thought about Terminators or a Dreadnought, but I think because Khan is going to be up in the drills, giving them the rerolls, the Dreadnought sitting at the back shooting is not going to get the rerolls from Khan, and I think one Dreadnought with no rerolls is not going to be worth the points.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are you going to be running? What's yours?
So I'm taking Blood Angels.
Yeah.
I've got Mephiston, which I'm quite happy he's gone down in points.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm taking him. My HQ slot is the one I'm kind of looking at. At the moment, there's a lieutenant in there in Phobos armor. I've then got 2 squads of assault intercessors, 2 squads of infiltrators, one with the helix, and another's got the upgrade that gives him the ability to take rights of battle or the lieutenant ability for free. Doesn't matter how far away the unit is. I just kind of kitted them out that way, to be fair. But I think it's quite nice. Kind of.
Yeah.
It's a bit of points, but it's a bit of fun.
Yeah.
10-man Death Company squad.
It's another points cut there as well.
Yeah, they've gone down 20 points.
Yeah.
A 9-man squad of Sangui Guard. Sangui Ancient with the banner that gives jump packs +2 movement. A 5-man Vanguard squad with Lightning Claws and Storm Shields, which is the unit Ali has been telling me to get
good.
for about a year. And to be fair, the last game I played against Orcs 2 weeks ago, they were amazing. They wouldn't die, and they killed Gaz.
You've got 35 points extra now. You
Put another one in.
You could throw some more in here.
Then I've got a Judicia, which is Ali's favourite model of all time.
I like the model. I don't like the unit.
Then I've got my fire support side. I've got a suppressor squad. I've got eliminators and a devastator squad with grav cannons.
In a drop pod.
And that kind of rolls out my list, which comes out at 35 points under now with the changes to chapter approved.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I could drop the suppressors and take a whirlwind. But I've always been tempted to get the captain in Phobos armor, and I think he would be better than the lieutenant one.
Yeah. How many more points is he than the lieutenant?
So I think he's 10 points more.
Oh, so you've still got 25 points to spend then.
Well, I could make him a chapter master.
Okay. That puts him up a bit.
I'd have to drop 5 points somewhere.
Yeah.
But I could do that on the Death Company.
Yeah, you just swap a weapon or...
Yeah, and because I've got 15 Death Company, so running 10, I can just swap them all. So I would be a little tempted to that. I think if I was being competitive, I'd go and buy a whirlwind and drop the suppressors, just because. So this is an argument I've been having with you for a while. Is that obviously a suppressor and a Judicia, the whirlwind does both.
Yeah.
Because it gets a stratagem that allows you to pick one of their abilities. Suppressors, I think, get a lot of hate, and I've had a lot of fun with them. I only took them because they came with the kit I got the Phobos stuff in, and they do 9 shots, and you just have to hit to stop Overwatch, and that's actually made...
I think there's merit as well, though, in... Obviously, Whirlwind's like the quote-unquote more competitive choice, but I think there's merit in using what you know.
Yeah.
And like if you know suppressors and how to use suppressors, then you probably actually get more mileage out of them than a unit that you don't regularly use.
The nice thing of the Whirlwind is that it can hide and still shoot because it doesn't need line of sight. We'll see, eh? But yeah, no, it's been great to chat today.
Yeah, been good.
And we'll definitely have a game a couple times before this tournament.
Yeah, should we do another talk after the tournament?
Yes.
About how we did.
And maybe put some comments down of any advice or anything that you're interested to know about that experience.
Yeah.
And let us know what you think about the changes in chapter approved.
Yeah.
It's been great to talk, mate. I'll catch you soon.
See ya. Bye.